Hello there. Today we're going to talk about headers in the underscore theme and what you can do with those. So this is my website. I've logged in on a second tab here to the back end of the website, and I'm going to go over here under Appearance and Customize. I'm going to go to that section and show you right out of the box what Underscores has available to us. Well, we can customize the site title and tagline, so we can put in new text here. It's showing us a preview over here. We can customize the background color, and this is for the entire page. The background image for the entire page. Customize the navigation, what menu we're going to use, and static front page. Now you'll notice that one option we don't have is to upload a header image, and right in here in this section we don't have an option to turn this text off. If, for example, we wanted to have the text that would be in our header, if we wanted to have that be on our image itself, we couldn't really turn this off. So I'm going to show you how to resolve that issue, so you have both the ability to just click a checkbox down here and turn the header, site title, and the tagline off, and also have a little section in here to add a header image to the top. So I'm going to go down to Dreamweaver, and what you should do at this point, if you haven't already, is open up Dreamweaver and import your STE file and connect up to your website so you can connect via FTP and do the kinds of stuff that I'm going to be doing. So I'm already connected up to the website. I can click this little expansion button to show my regular local files over here for Student Zero, that's me, and over here the remote server, and I'm inside of my folder here. Here's Student Zero up here. I've navigated down into WP content, into themes, and into underscores. Now in underscores you have a file called functions.php. If you double click on that in the remote window, it'll do two things. It will download it and it will open it in Dreamweaver for you. And of course you can say no for the dependent files. Now I can see that it's loading up back here, so I'm going to go ahead and click this button to collapse this window. And then since this is a code-only page, there's nothing showing up in the design view, so I'll just click on the code view so I can see all the code. So what this is, functions PHP has all the functions on it, and functions are little code snippets that are written that do things like, for example, bring in a header. And I know for a fact that there is a custom header function already created on this functions.php page, but it is disabled by default because underscores is a sandbox theme, which means it's a theme that's sort of a blank slate and you can do whatever you want with it. So they didn't want to, out of the box, have it be enabled. But it's very easy to enable it. What we have to do first is we have to find it. The way we're going to find it is we're going to use our find function in Dreamweaver. You can access that on a Macintosh by hitting Command and then the letter F, or on a PC by Control F, or you can go under the Edit function here, the Edit drop-down menu, and click Find and Replace. That brings up this little window here. Now, one thing you have to do once you have your Find and Replace window open is you have to make sure that the Find and drop-down menu has current document selected, and that you're searching the source code, which means the code here. Obviously, you can search through just the text on the page or search for specific tags. You can also search all the open documents in Dreamweaver, an entire folder, or an entire local site. But we're just going to search the current document and the source code. And so what we're looking for is the words custom-header, because that's the name of the custom header function. And we're just going to click Find All. Now what happens when you click Find All is this little search window opens down here. It shows you it's searching the current document, and it shows you where it found the text you were looking for. Now all you have to do is come down to the search box and double click on the line where it found the information you want to look at, and it will pull you down the page to that area. So we'll double click on this, and sure enough it takes us down to line 118, and this is where in the includes folder there's something called customheader.php, which is currently not activated. You can see that it is commented out by virtue of these asterisks and forward slashes, and it says right here, here's a comment that tells us what this is. Now actually the only thing that's stopping this line from being active are these two forward slashes. If you put two forward slashes on a line in a PHP document, it will comment that out, and it won't be working. You can see by the fact that it's yellow here that it's commented out. So all I have to do to get my custom header working is remove these two forward slashes. So I'll highlight those and hit delete, and you see that now this changes to be sort of regular colors, the black, here's some green and some red, a little blue. So now we've made that enabled. So all we have to do now is upload this and save it on the remote server, overwrite the existing file. We can do that by clicking on these two arrows up here, which is the file management. You click on put, and then it says it's been modified. Do you want to save it before putting? We say yes. Do you want to do dependent files? We say no. And now that has been uploaded. So now when we go back to the website, we're currently on this page right here. If we hit refresh, what we should see is a new box should come up here, and it does right here, called header image. And we can click that open, and now there is a option for us to click and add a new image, which will become part of the header. Also, under site title and tagline, if you click this open, there is now a checkbox to display the header text. If we click on this, and thereby turning it off, now the header text is no longer displayed. We'd have to hit this Save and Publish button for that to become part of what our website looks like. So I'll just leave it on for right now. Okay, so now that we have enabled ourselves to turn the display header text on and off via this box and to upload a header image, let's talk about what we might want to do if we actually wanted to keep this text. Now, one reason you might want to keep this text is because it's search engine optimized. In other words, if you put the name of your company on an image and slap it up here by uploading a header image, that text on your image is not readable by search engines. Now, you can always put something called an alt tag, which is alternate text in, which is readable, and that's one way to go. But you might also want to have actual text up there, which can be read or maybe even clicked on. So let's talk about how you would customize the site title and tagline. Well, in order to do that, we first have to understand how the header works. The header works via a file called header.php. So let's go back to Dreamweaver, download that file, and take a look at what's going on there. So I can expand my window here. Inside of underscores, I can look up and see right under the functions PHP, there's a header.php file. I can double click on that, and it will download. I can see it downloaded back there, so I'm going to go ahead and shrink this down. I'm going to open up my code window like this, and let's talk about how the header works. Now, keep in mind that the way that WordPress themes work, it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. First you go out and you get the header piece of the puzzle, then you get the body piece of the puzzle, which is the main part of the page, and then you get the footer part of the puzzle, right? And that all kind of snaps together to make the entire web page. So the header.php file is responsible for bringing in all the information at the header, but it's just sort of the start of the whole puzzle, and then we add the other pieces to it. So if we look at this, it's a pretty typical PHP document, which includes HTML on it. So right up here we have PHP, which tells you inside of the comments that this is the header. And then we have the kind of regular HTML you would see on any sort of HTML5 page. We've got a doc type declaration which says this is HTML. We have our begin HTML tag here. And then we have a header section, which is begin head and end head. And this has got information which links to all kinds of scripts and things like that. Now, in addition, we have underneath that the body tag, which is going to start off the actual web page, what's going to be the visible part of the web page. And then that's going to continue on into the next couple of files that show the body area of the web page and then the footer. Now, since we're just on the header tag, we'll go ahead and concentrate on, or the header file, I should say. We're going to concentrate on what's here and what we're going to be dealing with. So we have a header tag here, which begins there and ends here. And this is where everything is included for the header itself. So for example, we have the header tag starting there. Inside of that, we've got a div, which of course is a division, it's a box. and it's called site branding. It begins here and it ends right here. Okay, site branding. Also, we have this header itself, which is, goes from this area here to here, has a class of site header, so that is the style which affects the entire header. And then there's a box, a div, which has a style of site branding. So that would be the style that would affect just the things that are in this section. In this section, we have two other areas: site title, which is that first piece of text we see at the top of the page, and then site description, which is the second piece of text. In addition, in this area right here, we have what's called a navigation section. This is indicated by this nav tag, begins here and ends here, and this is what brings in the menu, which is located at the bottom of the header. So those are all of the main elements of our header tag. We can see down here that there's a div that begins on this page and actually ends down there in the footer, which is just the site content, this would be the actual body of the web page. But we're going to leave that alone because that has nothing to do with the header itself, which is what we're concentrating on. So once again, quick review. We have a header section here, which is contains all the things we're going to be talking about. The header has a style of site-header on the CSS style sheet. Inside of that is a div, which is a box, which has a style of site-branding. Inside of that box, there are two sections: the site title and the site description, which are both styles that affect the content you put in there. And then also in the header, at the bottom of the header, is the navigation section, which brings in the menu that you create in WordPress, whatever menu you say is the primary and default menu for this theme. Okay, so now that we understand a little bit about what's going on in the code of the header.php file, let's take a look at the style sheet, and let's create an area inside the style sheet where we can put our own custom code that will deal with these sections of the header. So I'm going to go back out in Dreamweaver here. I'm going to expand my little connection window, and I'm going to find the style.css file on the remote server. I'm going to double click on it, and that is going to download it and open it back here behind me. And I'm going to go ahead and close this window, and then here's our style sheet. Now, if you remember before, we made this little 10.4 section called layouts in the contents area. Well, now we're going to make a little header section. So I'm going to go up here to right after clearings, and I'm going to click in here, and I'm going to call this, we'll just call it 8.1, and we'll call it header. All right. Now, in order to find where this is going to be, we're going to have to find clearings. So we can just copy this. So I'm just going to go edit copy, and then edit find and replace, and search inside this document. And by the way, when you copy something and you do find and replace, it automatically pastes that information that you copied into the find box. So I'm going to do find all. It's going to find two instances of it. The first one is the first one that's on the page, which is what I'm on now. So it's the second one I want to double click on, and that whips me down the page to this clearings area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this comment code for clearings. So I'm just going to say Command C on a Mac or Control C on a PC. And I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to click at the bottom of this section, and I'm going to make a couple of spaces by hitting my return button, and then I'm going to do Command V or Control V on a PC, and I'm going to call this 8.1 and double click on this and name this header. So now this is a section that we can put all of our header styles into. Now, before I go ahead and put in some styles here, I want to go ahead and go back to my website and change what is in my header area in the site title and tagline, because it's a little too much information. So let's make it something a little more realistic. So let's pretend that I'm going to make a website to sell awesome burgers. Okay. Oop, I guess I have to be able to spell awesome. Okay. So I want to sell awesome burgers, and I'll call this the world's most amazing burgers. Okay, so now this is a more reasonable amount of text, and so I can click Save and Publish, and that will become the new site title and tagline. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at some pre-prepared code which you guys can use to reformat the header so that we can look at how it will look if we put in some custom styles for the site title and description. So what we're going to use some pre-formatted code that comes as part of an example of the lynda.com tutorial for underscores. So if I go back to my Firefox browser here, I've already got this page open. And what this has is it has what are called code snippets. And this information is available to you on the class website. There's a link on the class website which links to these code snippets so you can download them. And I recommend you do that right now and then open them up in Dreamweaver, and you can cut and paste this information into the file like I'm about to do. So you can go ahead and stop the video if you want, download this, open it up, and then restart the video when you have this information. Now once you have the information, you're going to want to go to this code snippets area. You're going to want to highlight the site branding, the site title, and the site description, and you're going to want to copy those. So I'm just going to do edit copy. And then you're going to go back, you'll be in Dreamweaver at this point, but you're going to go back to the style sheet, to this header section we made, and you're going to click inside that header area and go ahead and paste in all of those styles. Now let me explain to you what's happening with these styles. Actually, before I do that, let me go ahead and upload it so we can take a look at how this changes the way the header looks. So we've pasted that in. Now we're going to upload this. We are going to save it before we upload it. We're not going to do anything with the dependent files. And now we're going to go back to Chrome, which is where we have our website. And we should be able to see it right here if we just hit refresh. And of course we can. So, okay, that's perfect. So now let's go here and hit refresh. And there we go. Okay, so now we see the difference. So obviously we've put in a blue background, we've made this text bigger, more awesome, and then this text has been reformatted as well. All right, so let's go back to the custom styles that we just added and let's see exactly what's happening. So the site branding is the top words, so that's the Awesome Burger. So we've put some padding around that, we've aligned it into the center, we've made a background color, and then this is just another way to restate the background color with the hue, saturation, and lightness values right here. Then we have the site title, which is right underneath that. It's where we talk about the most awesome burgers in the world. We have a font weight of 700. Font weight, it's usually either normal or bold, but and this is the heaviness of the font, but you can also indicate it via a number, which will be all of the increments between normal and bold. We have a font size, which is indicated as 40 pixels, and the font size is also indicated as a REM, and that's a relative M. And what that is, we know that M's are relative units of measurement, which change based on the size of the screen that's viewing them. An REM is, it's not a rock band, well it is a rock band, but not in this case. It is a relative EM, and so that's an even more precise way to measure space on small screens. So basically 40 pixels translates to 4.5 REM in this case. We've set up an actual specific unit of measurement for this website in the code, and this 4.5 rems is basically equal to 40 pixels. The reason that there are two numbers here saying the font size is that newer, more modern browsers can work with this, and it's a more precise measurement, but older browsers would need a default, which would be this. That's the same reason why we have the background listed in two ways here. Okay, we also have a text transform function here, which makes all the letters uppercase. We have a normal line height, which is it's basically the leading, the amount of space between a couple lines, and we've got a little padding on the bottom, which is indicated in the relative M's. We also have a site description tag with a font weight of 100, font size of 20 pixels, and a font size of 2 REM being relative to that 20 pixels. And the site description is just information about the website itself. So, for example, the title is the first line of text. I'm sorry, I think I was a little unclear before. The site branding is it's basically the whole header section. This is the description for the whole header section. This is the first line of text, which is the awesome burger, and the site description is, the world's most awesome burgers or greatest burgers. That's the line underneath it. So once again, this is for the entire header, first line of text, second line of text. Now, if we go back to the actual website and look at this, we can see that we have this text here, and it's sort of a purpley color, and it's got the underline and everything in there. And maybe we want that to be a different color. Maybe we want to be able to change the color for both of these. Well, we can do that via the code snippets that I showed you before. So I'm going to go back to my Firefox browser where I have the code snippets. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to highlight this thing called Site Title A, Site Description. I'm going to copy those. And then I'm going to go back to Dreamweaver. And I'm going to paste those in underneath this other code that I put in my header section. And what this is we're basically making a section to recolor the title and the description all at once with this one feature here, which is this attribute, which is white. So we'll take that, we'll upload it. Okay, we'll go out to the website to look at the text, and we'll refresh it, and there you see that now it's changed to white. So now you have this piece of code here which you can change to affect the color. Now if you wanted the colors to be separate, if you wanted a different color on the site title and then a different color on the description, you could simply cut and paste this or copy and paste this in twice and then just remove this line, and one would be this, the site description color, and then on the second one just remove this line, and then that one would be for the site title. So you basically copy and paste this in so you have it twice, and then customize it both for the site title and the site description. Now, let's say that we wanted to further customize this a little more, so this header. We go back and we look at it. Let's say we want to do something like put a box around this. We would do that with a div with a border on it, and that would further delineate this sort of central title area from the rest of the header. So let's see how we would do that. Well, we would have to go back to Dreamweaver, and this time we would go back to our header.php file, and we would put in a new div. You can see there's a div here which is site branding, which is that whole top part of the header. But inside of that, we're going to put a div that surrounds the H1 and the H2, which are the site title and the site description. So I'm going to go here right after site branding. I'm going to hit my return key, and I'm going to tab in a little bit, and then I'm going to make a new div tag, right? I'm going to begin the div tag there. I'm going to come down, I'm going to end the div tag after the H2 tag, so /div, and then I'm going to give this div a class. So I'm going to call it class equals title dash box. Okay, so now we've created a div and we've given it a class, which is a style that we'll add to the style sheet, and we'll do that via the code snippets. First, let's go ahead and save this. So I'm just going to go File, Save, and then let's upload it. So put. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my code snippets, and you'll see that we have this style here called title box. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that, go back to Dreamweaver, go back to my style sheet, and down here underneath the last style that I pasted in the header section, I'm going to go ahead and paste in the title box. Now we're going to upload this file. We'll go take a look at it and hit refresh. And now you can see that there is a white line around this, which is the div itself. So now we can go in, look at Dreamweaver. Looks like we made the box 600 pixels wide, or a maximum width of 75%. We've got padding inside of that box to put the content in the center of 4 rems, a margin of 0 and auto, which means that it's automatically centered. We have a border, which is a solid 1 pixel border of white, and then this is the restatement for newer browsers. Now, the last thing we have to do for this header is we have to make it so the header responds appropriately when the web page is resized. For example, if we go back to the website and we take the website and we grab the right side of it and we start to scale it down, we see that, you know, the text gets kind of weird and funky when we get very small, like the size of a cell phone. So we don't want that. We want this to be more responsive. And we can do that via the code snippets again by using something called a media query. Now, this is our media query code right down here. We're going to go ahead and grab this at the bottom and copy it. We're going to go back to Dreamweaver, and we're going to go underneath our last code that we pasted in and paste this in. Now, this has its own little custom comment here. It makes the header responsive. And this little piece of code here, the @media, indicates that this is a media query. And once again, a media query is when you're creating a piece of code that is specific for a certain device size. In this case, we're saying a device size with a max width of 600 pixels, which might be a cell phone. So what happens is the media query is turned on when it detects that that the website is being looked at on a screen with a max width of 600 pixels. 600 pixels or smaller, essentially. If that happens, then new styles come into play. The site branding, which is the entire top part of the header, the padding goes to 0. Also, that title box, the box that we put around the text, its max width becomes 100%, which means it now takes up the whole site branding box up at the top, and its margin goes to 0, and its border becomes nothing. So basically, what happens is when you take your browser and you make it smaller, this site title box is going to lose the border around it and fill up the whole top, the site branding, so that it looks a little more normal on a small screen as opposed to the way it looks now. So let's go ahead and take this and upload our style sheet. And then we'll go out onto the web and see how our website has changed. So we'll hit refresh. We're not going to see any changes right away because we're still in the full desktop view. But when we take this and we resize it down, can you see that? And when it gets small enough, the text, or the little box around it, the title box, disappears. Okay, and now it looks better, a little smaller like this. Now there's still some issues here with this font size. We're still going to have to deal with some issues with that, but we did start to make this responsive in the sense that that box disappears. Now, adding this media query has been helpful in one sense, in that when we resize the browser, or it's resized for a smaller device, it will make things more responsive. But what if we decide we want to turn off the site title and the site description and just put an image up there? Well, some weird stuff can happen right now. Let me show you what that is. So if I go back to the website, and now we'll go look at the front end of the website. Let me refresh this. Okay, so let me just re-upload a file here, which is this one, so we can get this looking the way we want to. I just made a little change there so I could demo this to you, and let me refresh this. So we'll see the title box showing up around here. Okay, so one of the problems that we've created by adding that media query is that if we now go into the customizer of WordPress and we uncheck this display header text and do save and publish, well, sure enough, it'll get rid of those 2 lines, the site title and the site description, but it won't do anything about this box here. The box will still be there. So let's hit refresh, and you see we've unchecked the box to show the title and description, but we still have that box. Now, if we want to get rid of the box, it's a pretty simple fixed to do, we simply go into our style sheet and we take this custom style that we cut from the code snippets, we highlight it, and we click on our little apply comments box here and apply the second one down, which is the one with the slashes and the asterisks, and that comments this out. So we're no longer using this title box style, which means that if we upload this and overwrite the existing style sheet, that we will no longer see that box in this header once we refresh it. So now we've completely gotten rid of that. So in other words, when you do check this box off, it's going to get rid of these two lines. They will disappear, and of course your box around it will be gone. But if you ever want that to come back, all you have to do is go back to your style sheet and uncomment this code by clicking on this button right here, and it will upload it, and then that will come back. Right now I'm just going to go ahead and leave it commented out because I don't really want that box to be in there. Okay, now we've been able to take the header and customize it a little bit. We can make it so that it either has text up there, the site title and the site description. We can change the font color, we can change the font style, we can put a little div box around it with a border, or we can turn it off completely. But what happens if we want to put an image up there? Well, WordPress already has a built-in image uploader, but in Underscores, which once again is a sandbox theme, it hasn't really been turned on. So we have to go in and turn that on manually. Now you can, once we have it turned on, you'll be able to upload images in two places. You can do them right here in the customizer in this little header image section that we looked at. The other place that you'll be able to do it is inside of the dashboard. You'll be able to go to the appearance and then header section and then upload your headers this way. Well, apparently it's showing us exactly the same thing. So there's only one way to do it here in Underscores. Anyway, so what we're going to do in order to do this is go back down to Dreamweaver, and we're going to open up our window here. And we have to go, if you remember a little earlier in this video when we enabled the custom header on the functions page. Well, now to be able to upload an image to that custom header, we're going to have to open the actual custom header file. We're going to find that inside of the Underscores theme on the remote server here under the includes folder. So we're going to open that includes folder, and sure enough, here's something called customheader.php. So we're going to double click on that, and that's going to download and open up. So we're going to close this down, and we're going to open the code window here so we can just see code. So what you see here is the custom header, and what you have here are the default settings for the custom header. For example, the default image, you could put in a URL link to a default image if you want there, but we're not going to hard code that in because we want to be able to use the uploader that's in WordPress. You can also set a default color for what color you want your text to be in the header. You could change this. Right now it's black. You could change it to white or whatever you want, or you can change that in the style sheet as that custom code snippet is that we did. And you can set a default width and height for your header. Now let's go ahead and change these numbers. Let's change the width to 1280. Let's change the height to 300. And these are just some calculations that were made that will create a good looking header. And for flex height, let's change that to false because we want the width and the height to stay in perspective here. We want them to be the same. Okay, so now we've just made some custom changes here which are going to allow us to make our header image this size right here. Now that we've made some changes to this header, custom header file, we have to save it and then upload it to the site so that those changes can take effect. Now, we've gone ahead and customized the custom header.php file with basically a size for the header, but we don't have any code in the header file which is going to bring the image in yet. But fortunately, WordPress has already created that code for us. On the custom header.php page, if we scroll up to the top, we'll see this code right here, which has been commented out, but it says we can use this code to add a custom header image to the header.php file. So if we highlight this code right here and copy it, and then go to our header PHP file, we can put this in, and the place you traditionally put it in is right before the site branding box. So we'll go ahead and we'll make some space right here. We'll tab in a little bit, and we'll paste this in. Okay, and this is a conditional statement which is checking to see if there is a header image that exists. If it does, it will load it up. It also is going to take the header image and make it a link to the home page. Okay, and it's going to get the width and the height from that custom header information that we put in right here. Okay, so now we've got that, and we've made that custom change, so we're going to go ahead and save this and upload it. So I can say put, I do want to save it, and I don't want to upload dependent files. Okay, so now we can go back to the website, and it would be this website here, and we can log in to the back end here. And if we go back to the front end of the website and we hit refresh, we don't see any image yet. We have put the code in to allow an image to be uploaded, but we haven't actually uploaded an image yet. So now we have to try uploading an image. So if we go in here to the header image in the customizer section and click add new image, now we can click on upload files, select files, and go to our desktop and choose this image that I made, the awesome header. Hit open, and now it's going to load that up. It's got the size, and we can say select and crop. If we want to, we can crop this image, but I don't really want to crop it. Well, it's not going to give me much of a choice, so I guess I'm going to have to crop it. So we'll go ahead and say crop image. And then it's gone ahead and put that in there. It's showing me what it's going to look like, but I do have to hit save and publish. And then I'm going to go up here and hit the refresh button. Now remember, we put this image in before the site branding, so the site branding is still showing up. And we have our image here, but of course it's left aligned, it's not centered, and it has a little space here. So the next thing we're going to do is look into how we can customize the code we just added to the header.php file to get this centered and to get rid of that little space. Now if we want to make this centered and get rid of this little space here, we have to add some custom styles into our style sheet, and we also have to add a little div into our header section, our header.php file, so that those styles will be able to affect this image. So if we go back to Dreamweaver, if we go back to Dreamweaver, okay, so we're going to introduce some custom code here. We're going to go here into the code that we just typed in to bring the header. We're going to click right after this first opening conditional statement, and we're going to tab in a little bit. We're going to create a div. The class equals, the class is going to equal header dash image. We're going to come down here, and after this little A tag, we're going to tab in and end our div like this. And then with any luck, we'll be able to tab this over a little bit so that it's inside of the div, so we can see how this works. Now that we've put in this new div here with a class of header image, starts here and ends here, surrounds the header image, we're going to have to put some style in that's going to correspond to this class here. It's going to center the image on the page and get rid of that little space at the bottom of it. So now we're going to go over to our style.css page, and we're going to go up to the top here of our header section. We're going to put in a new class, so it's going to be dot header dash image, and we're only going to target the image itself, which is the img, and we're going to put in a couple of styles here. We're going to say display block, which will just display the content, and so we'll get rid of that space at the bottom, and then we're going to say margin 0 auto, which will center the image. So now we're going to upload this. And then we'll go back to the site and hit refresh. And of course it didn't work, because why would it ever possibly work? Okay, let's go check our work and make sure we got everything right. So I'll go back to the header. Maybe I gave this the wrong name or something like that. No, it's div class equals header dash image, and then over here on the style.css I have header dash image, and then I have img. So let me double check my work here. Okay, I've done a little checking into this code here and why it's not working. If you look back here, this thing is supposed to be centered and this little spot is supposed to be gone. The code really should be functioning. This is all the correct code, but something's going on where it's not working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just comment this out. Okay, and now Dreamweaver's not working. So hold on one more second while I restart the program. Okay, so I'm just going to copy these little comment tags from up above and comment out this section since the header image code isn't working. And I'm just going to make a note of what my styles are, and I'm going to just for now temporarily create these as inline styles on the header.php file so that we can get this to work and I can show you what it's going to look like. Now, this is not the ideal way to do things. Normally you want everything on your style sheet, but sometimes a little hack like this is necessary. So please ignore this little white box that's floating around. It's part of Dreamweaver's being weird, and I'll get rid of it in a second. But anyway, so this div class header image isn't really working. I can leave it alone in there because it's not doing any harm. But what I'm going to do is down here, this is where the image is brought in, and it has some custom PHP code that brings in the image, but I can add those styles inline right here. So I'm just going to simply go to the end of my image tag, which is right here, and I'm going to say style equals, and I'm going to say display block, semicolon, and then margin 0 auto. And now I'm going to upload this. And it's the exact same styles, but instead of them being on the style sheet, they're now inline, which means they're right there in the code itself. So we'll go here and we'll refresh this page. And you can see now that this is centered, and that the little block of space there, the extra block, is gone. And this little weird thing here is just Dreamweaver continuing to be weird and showing up its little box on other programs. There it is again. Okay, I've restarted Dreamweaver to get rid of these weird boxes that were floating around. And now we're going to talk about how we can make it so that text, which you can make show up in here, can show up on top of the image. Because right now we've done two things. We've made it so that you could have a website that has text showing up. Go ahead and refresh this. Okay, you could either choose this to be the top of your web page, or you could perhaps have an image be at the top of your web page as your header. But what if you wanted to have this image be behind this text? Let's talk about how we would do that. Okay, so we're going to leave our text on like that, and we're going to deal with how we're going to get the image to be back behind there. So now we can go back to Dreamweaver, and we can come down to this box, the site branding box, which is the blue box with the text in it, and we can add an inline style here. We can say style equals, and then we can say background dash image. And we can do a URL. And what we can choose is we can choose this PHP code which brings in the image that we uploaded to WordPress, and paste that in there, okay? And then we can upload that. And then go back to here, let's hit refresh, and you can see that the Awesome Burger is coming in here as the background. Now, it's coming in, but it's also repeating, and so we're going to have to clean that up. So we also want to get rid of this image that's up here. So let's get rid of the image that's up there at the top first. The way we would do that is that image is being brought in by this custom code that we put in here at the top. So we can comment this out so the image is no longer brought in at the very top, it's just being brought in as a background image for the site branding area. So we can go ahead and we can manually type in a PHP comment here, and that's going to be the PHP with the forward slash and the asterisk. Sorry, nothing seems to be working. Okay, that, right? That is the begin PHP comment tag. The end PHP comment tag looks like this. PHP, and then we have the asterisk, and then the forward slash, and the PHP tag. So these two tags here comment out that top part, which means that the image that we saw at the very top is going to disappear. This one right here. Okay, so we got rid of one. Now we've got to clean this up. And for this, we can use some of those code snippets that are available on the website. So we're going to go to the code snippets, and we're going to scroll down to where we see InStyle CSS, and we're going to get this header background, and we're going to copy that. We're going to come back to Dreamweaver and go to our style sheet, and we'll go right up here at the top, paste this in the header background, and put that up on the website. Now what this is going to do, it's going to stretch the image to go across the entire top of the site, and it's going to stop it from repeating. Or theoretically, that's what it's going to do. But in order for that to happen, we do need to say, we put the style in here, but we didn't apply this style on the actual web page. So we have to go back to the header, and we have to say that in this area right here, that we want to apply both the site branding and the header background image style. Let's try that. And hit refresh. So now you're seeing that it is putting in the Awesome Burger text and this, and putting in the image. Now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking I must have made a mistake because this is supposed to stretch all the way across. So if I go back to look at my code, sure enough I did make a mistake here. I pasted in this entire style name here from the style sheet, but I left the dot in, which indicates that it's a class on the style sheet. We don't need that here on the header.php file. We just need to say that the class is header-background.image. And that's what we need to say. I've also noticed, looking at my code here, that I missed a pair of parentheses right here when I pasted in this this image in the inline style. So I've fixed those errors, and I'm uploading the file now. And now when we go look at it, when we refresh, this image will stretch all the way across the page like that, and then we've got our text. Now of course we can put more padding and things to bring this text in, but now the text is real text sitting on top of an image. Now you can choose to go this way, or you could choose to just upload your image with everything on it, whichever way you prefer. Now to conclude this discussion about headers here, we've managed to get in a header that has a background image and then text you can control via the site title and site description. But you'll notice that there's still some space that was created at the top of this. And so we want to get rid of that space so that this header will slap up right against the top. So we'll go back to Dreamweaver, go back to our style sheet, and we'll go to where the site title is, which is that top line of text. And we'll add in a new attribute here. and we'll call that margin top, and we'll set that to 0 pixels, and we'll even put in the important attribute, which will make it so that that will override any existing styles and make it so that it will take this style as the master style for that site title, meaning there won't be any space up at the top. We'll go back, we'll look at this and hit refresh, and there it takes away that top section there. So once again, you can go in and you can customize the look of this text and this text via the site title, which is the top one, and site description styles on your CSS. And of course, so that gives you 3 choices of things that you can do with your header. You could have this combined header, which is the background image and the text. You could have just the block of color with the text in it, which is what we had originally. Or you could just have a background image up at the top and put all your text content on that.